Welcome to Accelerated Velocity, the podcast that helps you move faster, smarter, and more strategically in the rapidly evolving world of AI. We'll break down the latest AI news and innovations and explore how they impact your marketing, sales, and business growth. We'll dive into practical use cases, unpack new tools, and cut through the noise so you and your team can adapt with confidence. I'm Grace Matthews, Director of Content at Inbound AV, a business development agency and HubSpot solutions partner dedicated to driving sustainable business growth. Each week, I'll be here with Peter Malik, our CEO and founder. Join us as we make sense of what's changing and what to do about it. Welcome to episode 23 of Accelerated Velocity. I'm here with Peter Malik. How are you today, Peter?
I'm doing great, Grace, and I think we're going to go pretty rapid fire through a few little news items.
Yeah, let's start with the first one. California has become the first state to regulate companion AI. And what that means is any sort of AI program or product that is normally chat-based and meant to offer companionship in some sense. That might include chatbots like character.ai. It also includes any sort of AI that is marketed as a mental health option. So there's some new regulations on that in California. We should kind of wait and see how it will potentially create precedents in other states. The main focus is to protect children and other vulnerable users from potential harms interacting with companion-based AI chatbots.
Well, I think we've talked about this subject before with the stuffed animal that has ChatGPT inside of it. And I know our conversations sort of align with what this law is trying to do, is because I feel personally that to have a kid talking to a stuffed animal who maybe doesn't quite understand how reality works, that there's a lot of potential for damage there. And so I know that some people, any law that's passed in California, they're going to have an issue with it, and I get that. But I think this is a solid law, and I think it could be really helpful in keeping kids safe.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's interesting is specifically for, I believe, users under 18. The regulation also involves sending out reminders with options to take a break from the program. So the idea is, similar with limiting screen use of any sort for younger children, just encouraging pauses and healthy breaks away from the screen, away from the program, considering that these have a potential to really draw you in for long periods of time. So I think there's definitely some positives to come out of this. We'll see how it develops in the coming months.
And you know what? If you really can't stand it, there are other states.
This is true. Yeah. I think this is also something to just keep tabs on, is how AI regulation is developing state by state. This is more of a general regulatory law, but there are various states working on regulations that could affect use of AI for businesses. So something to keep tabs on as well as this becomes, something that lawmakers are fielding for the first time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to what we've seen with email, where California has their regulations, Canada has theirs, the EU has theirs, and some of the regulations align, some of them don't. So it's a patchwork, and it's sometimes difficult for especially like a multinational retailer or corporation to communicate, having to follow all of the patchwork of different email laws, privacy laws, etc.
Yeah, that's very true. I would predict probably applications developing to help businesses navigate that. I know that with email compliance, for example, and even with like cookies regulatory compliance, there are tools to be able to cater to those different regions if you do have a multinational audience. So something we might see developing with AI in the future as well.
And Grace, you shared an article with me basically saying that ChatGPT can't pass marketing 101.
Yeah, let's dive into that. So this is interesting. I mean, if you're a marketer or you're working in business development, I think we'd actually love to hear your opinion if you want to weigh in on this in the comments section. If you're using ChatGPT for your daily marketing functions in various capacities, what's working and what's not. This article from Adweek basically talks about a series of advertisements that ChatGPT ran that did very, very poorly. So this is talking specifically about an outcome for their own campaign, not any sort of marketing products or services for other companies or other users. And the basic rundown is that in terms of fluency and general readability and success, these ads tanked. These were ads that were featured in prime time during NFL games and other streaming platforms with huge audiences. So the idea that ChatGPT is probably using their own AI tools to produce these ads and run them, and they're not doing well, I think is definitely something to heed. Um, the ironic thing is that in this article, the author mentions that he uses ChatGPT to then score the advertisements, and ChatGPT gave the ads a score of 5 out of 10.
And, I'd say the moral of the story is that ChatGPT might want to sort of test their advertising capabilities with like sponsoring a high school football game rather than an NFL first until they get the kinks out.
And I mean, that's a good point, Peter, is like the only way that you can iterate is to test, but testing on such a broad national audience and failing so miserably is definitely a red flag. And I think it speaks to this ongoing conversation that we've been having about using select AI tools for the niches that you need filled while not slipping into over reliance where you're not actually able to produce a competitive product with the AI that you're depending on.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. I think the flip side of this is that ChatGPT is very, very, very good at some things. And, one of the things that we've been working with our clients on is visibility and how AEO, answer engine optimization, is a way to get the equivalent of what SEO used to be immediately. So SEO, you would start with an SEO company to optimize your search engine results, and they're going to tell you if they're reputable that you're really not going to see a whole lot for 3 months. Well, with AEO, you might see a lot after 3 days, depending upon how it's done. So it's very, very immediate, which is the world we live in, is very immediate. And I had a really good experience around that this week. And that was that, I do cold calls sometimes. I target specific companies that I feel might be really interested in a particular thing we offer. But I hate cold calls. I hate cold calls. I can't sleep at night because of cold calls. So I've been keeping an eye on different platforms that where AI can help take over part of that and sort of allay my weirdness. And so I've investigated some months ago, and they usually were still developing, not really ready for prime time, and also quite expensive. And so I had a thought the other night where I decided to ask ChatGPT, okay, we're a marketing agency, we're this size, we're looking to engage these people, and can you recommend an AI platform that can help do cold calling and actually talk to prospective clients on the phone, at least to start? And it came back with 5 recommendations and then got a little bit more detailed and said something to the effect of, well, judging from your company, what you describe about your company, I'd recommend that you check out this platform first. and the platform is called Twins.ai. And so I went to the Twins site, and first of all, their prices were proudly displayed on their site, and they weren't outrageous. And I've had a couple of conversations with the CEO since, and he's demonstrated the platform to me, and it's definitely a big leap technologically against above the platforms that have been available. And so, for me personally, I don't need it to do much. I would like to get somebody on the phone. It's like, hey, can I have a minute of your time? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to take over right then. And so what Twin does is it clones you. So it creates an AI agent that has your voice, your intonation, your phrasing, etc. And then when the real person version of your clone picks up the phone, it's the seamless transition. Typically in some of the platforms, there'll be a click, there'll be a delay, but in this one, it's seamless. And there's no way, at least early on in a conversation, that anybody's going to know that there's been some sort of transition there. Obviously, if the conversations get deeper and the person on the other end is asking particular questions, that's a different story. But for my use, which is really just to pick up the phone and make the call and say hello, the part that I hate to do, it looks like it's an amazing platform. But the point is that there is no way in this world that I would have come upon this company, which is a brand new company, which their website is an MVP, which when I do a regular search for this type of platform, it would never come up. And in fact, I got a very pointed recommendation from ChatGPT. It was a great recommendation. And I don't know how much of a luck factor was there, but it was a great recommendation. And so I think that's the type of thing that really can make a difference, not only for the startup, the new company that's looking for visibility and looking for those first customers, but for me or for you as a user, finding the platform that's cutting edge and that had you known about it a month ago, you would have been like overjoyed. But here it is.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that there's two sides of this coin. First of all, the ongoing conversation about AEO and optimizing your content to find its audience. And in that case, that happened for Twin.ai. You found that through ChatGPT. And also saving time looking for products, especially with digital products when there can be maybe millions is an exaggeration, but hundreds, if not thousands, of different applications that do similar things. Weeding through that can be a long process. So I see a lot of potential with that. And can I ask, Peter, what's the domain of the website if people want to check it out?
So I think I was misleading a second ago. So it's twins with an S, AI.com.
Yeah, and whether that's a software that you're looking for or not, I think considering how that sort of product search can fit into your workflow, if that's applicable for you, something interesting to think about. All right, well, I feel like we've covered all of the major news on our end for the week. Should we wrap up there, Peter?
Well, we can wrap up, but I guarantee you there's other stuff out there that we haven't talked about, probably like a convoy of trailer trucks full of AI news that we haven't touched on. But yes, we can wrap up.
These are the small little things we picked out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for your time today, Peter. And we'll be back next week with more updates. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Accelerated Velocity. A link to our website, newsletter, and all that other good stuff can be found down in the show notes. If you like what you heard, we'd appreciate a 5-star review, and make sure to subscribe for weekly episodes on the latest in AI for business.